to Accent on Education. My name is Laura Hoover, Director of Communication for Culpeper County Public Schools, and we are filming our episode of Accent today at Eastern View High School in the Zen Den, a space created for teachers. And today we're going to be looking at education here in Culpeper and also an experience of education in Africa. First, we welcome Laura Butcher. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's exciting to have you here today. So what do you do at Eastern View High School?
I am a family and consumer sciences teacher and an advisor for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. More specifically, I teach the Early Childhood Education Program, and I'm a director of the Little Cyclones Preschool, which allows our high school students a hands-on experience working with preschool-age children.
Awesome. So it sounds like you do a lot.
Yes, I wear many hats.
How long have you been at Eastern View?
This is my 12th year here.
Oh, awesome. Now, one of the things that I have heard is that you had a very exciting experience over this past summer.
I did.
So you earned the Fulbright Hayes grant, is that correct?
So technically, Virginia Tech earned the grant,
okay.
And they had created a project proposal to study global business skills, diversity awareness, and entrepreneurship workforce development in Zambia. Two professors, it was a passion project for them, and they were approved and were invited to select 12 career and technical education teachers from across Virginia to go be part of this project.
Wow, that's awesome. So how were you selected to be one of the 12 teachers?
They sent out information through the Family and Consumer Science listserv emails, and I saw it in December 2022, debated on it a little bit, and finally decided to submit an application. From there, they interviewed us, and within a few days, I had an email inviting me to join the project and had 24 hours to respond, so it was a whirlwind, but ultimately I decided to take the risk and go on the adventure and learn and expand my knowledge.
Wow, that's awesome. So how was the location, Livingstone, Zambia, selected?
Through the professors. So one of the professors, Dr. Mukini, is actually from Zambia and from that area. In fact, his brother is the king of Mukini Kingdom. So he has a connection that way. And he met Dr. Price in Zambia when Dr. Price was doing some career and technical education seminars, and they connected. Dr. Price encouraged Dr. Mukini to continue his education at Virginia Tech, and from there he got his master's and graduate degree and started teaching at Virginia Tech. So the two both had connections to Zambia, and they wanted to take a group there specifically. It was also a prime location because it has such a focus on the hospitality and tourism industry. Livingstone, Zambia is home to Victoria Falls, which is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. So while Zambia has a focus on agriculture and entrepreneurship, Livingstone specifically has a focus on hospitality and tourism.
Okay, so tell me about the experience. What was it like?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. We were there for an entire month. We left in June. The 12 of us had met a few times via Zoom and for the first time in person at the airport. So we were basically strangers going on this trip for a month. And we left from Dulles and arrived and hit the ground running. We met the mayor on our first full day there. And then we were able to meet with the Ministry of Education. We were able to observe classrooms, interview teachers and students, heard lectures from school administrators, and really explored the world of education over there. It's an interesting time to be over there. We're really grateful because in 2002, they started free education for primary school through grade 7, and it was just in 2022 that they opened up free education through grade 12. So we got to see that change and shift, and it's such a big thing to celebrate and be excited for because that's an opportunity students hadn't had. However, it also created some growing pains. They weren't necessarily ready for this influx of students, so class sizes were at 50 plus students.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and resources are already limited and even more so limited. So it was just interesting to see that change and how resourceful the teachers had to be when working with students and what they had available to their disposal. So that was definitely an interesting aspect to see about the education system, but we were also studying how the education system played into the economy. So we were active participants in the tourist industry, which was a neat aspect. And while going to restaurants, we were talking to the managers, and we got to go to several hotels and interview their managers to see how they handle business, what their goals are, how they choose to hire people, and their connections to the schools to create internships for their students to just build those bonds to get students from school into the workforce. There are several initiatives that Zambia has in place to encourage that. So they really have a focus on entrepreneurship. That's one of their main industries, especially the informal sector. So that might be people selling used clothes, food, the knickknacks that you get at the curio markets. That's all part of the informal sector. And they teach entrepreneurship starting as early as our kindergarten, grade 1, through high school. So wherever students end with their education, they at least have some knowledge of that entrepreneurship spirit and how to go into that field. But then they also have a big hospitality and tourism industry. So we saw career and technical education schools, so similar to our C-Tech program. They have something similar over there. Programs that we were able to visit and see were electrical, plumbing, masonry, IT with computers. And then also in the family and consumer science umbrella, we saw culinary, tailoring, and hospitality and tourism programs. So really preparing their students to go into the workforce, whether that's working in a restaurant, at the hotels that are very popular in the area. Then we also were able to see how they handle their career and technical program a little bit different. It's mostly post-secondary over there, whereas our high school students have a lot of opportunities to get certificates and degrees before graduating high school. Most of their students choose after high school to go and do different levels, and they have from a 3-month certificate program up to a 3-year degree program. So there's many options for students as far as how much training they can get. And if they enter the level 3 training, they don't actually have to have finished high school to be eligible to go into these programs, which just allows for more skills development going into the workforce and hopefully to build their economy in the long run. It's been interesting with this change in the education system. It all kind of stems from a change in their political system that recently happened in an election of a new president. And with that, we just saw a new hope in the community, and it'll be super awesome to see in the next 5-10 years how their economy and education system has grown and shifted.
Awesome. So in some of those programs you mentioned, we have similar programs here. Did they look similar?
Yes and no. I mean, there's definitely a lot of similarities as far as the skills they're teaching. Our students in culinary, for example, get Serve Safe certified. And while those students weren't getting Serve Safe certified, I know the culinary teachers kept pointing out, like, they're doing this Serve Safe skill just naturally because you're in a kitchen setting. And there are lab settings, which was neat to see. They do have kitchens. However, their kitchens look a lot different than ours. I think every school we visited had between 1 and 3 stoves that you would see in the home versus an industrial kitchen. They also have a focus on cooking over the coal fires, partially because that's traditional, but also partially because that's the resources that they have available to them.
Okay. So this is probably a big question, but what have you learned from this experience?
Oh, so much about Zambian culture, history, and just their new hope that they have. But just going back into the education field, I've learned the perspective of what students go through, and we had to, for example, we had to learn their language or attempt to learn a language, traditional language. So we learned Chitonga, and for that we were in an actual classroom which had only a blackboard, chalkboard, and traditional seats, like the individual desks with a chair and windows for ventilation. And it was just very eye-opening to see what those students had to, like what their setting was like. And then also to try and learn a language. Thankfully, English is the primary language because I was not very good at Chitonga, but it was a challenge to try and learn a new language, and our students face that as well. And it's made me so much more aware now that I'm here and kind of aware of more cultures. I feel like every week I'm meeting a new student that's from an Asian culture or Europe or even Africa. We have several students from Africa, and I just wasn't quite as aware. So it's bringing an awareness of the different students we have and what they face and how we can incorporate their heritage into what we're teaching in our classroom, and the global diversity and awareness, even in the workforce. Our students are going to be going into a very diverse workforce, and they need to be prepared on how to work with people from different cultures and how that may impact the work environment.
Okay, so have you met any students that you can practice your Shatanga with?
I have not. There are actually like 70 languages in Zambia. There are 7 primary languages that they claim, but there are over 70. So there's a lot of languages to be learned. I have not met somebody here yet with Shatanga.
Okay. So is there anything that you're doing differently because of this experience, either at school or outside of your work here at Eastern View?
That perspective aspect has definitely shifted things. I think I'm much more grateful for the resources we have. I knew it going into a developing country that they certainly were going to have different resources from us, but I think we take for granted having like what we think are necessities, computers and internet, Wi-Fi. To us, that's a necessity now when teaching, but over there, they're lucky to have textbooks and paper and pencils. And then even having free meals for our students. It's so important to just be able to come into school ready to learn and have all our needs met. Students there don't have those needs met necessarily. Even bathrooms just weren't in what we would expect out of our needs in school. So that's shifted my perspective in wanting to just be aware of what we do have and be resourceful, what's available. And same in the personal life side of things, just being aware of how grateful I am for the community and the ease of which we have to travel and the melting pot of cultures that we have in our area. Perspective, it just opened my eyes to a whole new world, literally.
That's awesome. Sounds like a great experience, which I probably know the answer to the next question, but I was going to ask you, do you recommend that other teachers look into similar experiences?
Absolutely, teachers and students. I think anything that can expand your knowledge and skill set, look into. But even more so with traveling, just it brings a new awareness and appreciation for the world that expands past our own borders. It's scary. I definitely was nervous about it many times and questioned why I was doing it. But at the end of the day, I was willing to take that risk, and I think others need to consider what lifelong changes can come from choosing to take that risk and step outside their comfort zone to do something that's just so eye-opening.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this experience with me today. It sounds awesome. And if somebody wanted to see more about your trip, is there anywhere they could look it up or see pictures or learn more?
Yes, I created an Instagram account while I was away, and it's called CTE2, the number, Africa. And I documented my trip throughout, including pictures and the schools we visited and also some of the tourist side of things. So people are more than welcome to go and check that out and be able to relive the experience with me.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for doing that. So check out CTE2
Africa
on Instagram. Thank you for being here today on Accent on Education, and it was really exciting to hear about your experiences.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to Accent on Education. Joining me now is Eastern View High School teacher Melessa Suder. Welcome.
Hi.
It's so nice to have you here today. What do you do at Eastern View High School?
I am one of the agri-science teachers here at Eastern View, which makes me also an FFA advisor for our students.
And how long have you been with CCPS or Eastern View High School?
This is my 7th year.
Okay, all at Eastern View?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome, well, very good. Well, today we'll be talking about FFA and also talking about you. But let's start off with the FFA chapter here at Eastern View. The chapter has recently been featured in a national Ram truck commercial. Talk about that. I'd like to hear. How did that happen?
It was actually out of the blue, was not expected, wasn't anything that we applied for or anything like that. And so National FFA contacted some of our state FFA staff. And, you know, in some things they have to be very vague, and because of legalities and all of that, they knew it was something to do with Dodge. They knew that it would involve a country artist, and that was all that they even knew at that point. And they contacted me because the country artist involved, which ended up being Jackson Dean, was touring at the time, and he was going to be in Charlottesville during the time that the production company and all the schedules kind of melded together. And they needed an FFA chapter that was within an hour of Charlottesville. Okay. And our state staff wanted it to be a chapter that had some interesting things and some cool things happening. And so within that radius, which we just looked out to be in, we had the new greenhouse. Mm-hmm. And so they really wanted to be able to use the greenhouse footage and things like that. So we really looked into it, but because we also have such a good reputation with our state staff, it was kind of a gimme that they wanted to use us.
Well, I saw it, and it brought tears to my eyes. It was so
it was
beautiful.
Really cool. It was
the
a fun
kids
experience.
Did a great job.
Yeah.
So that's great. Well, in addition to the national commercial, the Eastern View High School FFA has received numerous awards in the last year, including the Virginia's Central Area winner in all of the categories of the National Chapter Award Program.
Yes.
How did your students earn those awards and that recognition?
So the National Chapter Recognition Program is honored on the state and national level. Mm-hmm. And so you apply to the state. And you can apply, in our FFA lingo, we have the long form and the short form. Mm-hmm. And so we did the long form for the first time last year, and Ms. Shin was very active and involved in that, more so than myself, mm-hmm. to be honest. And so she worked with our officers, and I provided some input as well. And you simply give lots of details about your different activities from your program of activities that we create at the beginning of the year. And so they have to give what their SMART goals were, mm-hmm. and they have to be very specific goals, if you know anything about SMART mm-hmm. goals. And they have to give what their results were, how much it cost, what the budget was for that project, and then what the results were. And then they provide pictures with captions. So it is a very, very, very detailed process. And through that application, for each one of those categories, there are actually 5 activities for each category, but they have to pick their top 3 for each category to highlight in that application. So there's 9 different activities that involve 3 to 4 pages of information plus pictures.
Wow.
That the students sat down and wrote all of that stuff out, and we were able to submit it to get that award. And they will actually be recognized. We have students going across stage at National Convention to be recognized for that.
Oh, that's awesome. So when will that be? When is the National Convention?
National Convention, we leave October 31st and we return November 4th. So it will be during that time at one of those sessions.
Okay, and where's that located?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay, that's exciting. How many students will be going on that trip?
We have about 9.
Oh, that's 9. Great. Awesome.
So,
okay, and some of the students have won individual competitions as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have students that are actually representing Virginia in the veterinary science competition. So in order to compete nationally, you obviously have to win your state first. Mm-hmm. And so that was a first time thing for Eastern View, is to have a winning vet science team. We're very fortunate in having a volunteer coach in Samantha Martinowski, mm-hmm. who comes in and she volunteers of her time, and she's going with us on the trip as well, so that she can enjoy that experience with those students. We also have Megan Wolfkale, who was recognized as a national finalist in the agri-science competition. So think science fair up a notch.
Okay.
is pretty much how that runs. And so she did this huge project on hormone implants in beef cattle and the public perception of that. And so as a 9th grader, she does this project and is named a national finalist. So that was pretty impressive for her as well. Cameron Stanley, who graduated last year, over the summer won the dairy handlers competition. So she will be in Indianapolis showing dairy cows to try to win nationals.
Now, does she have to take her cows with her?
No, no. They actually use it as part of the dairy judging contest, and so the handlers actually show while the others judge. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, that is a lot about your students and the program, but I'd like to take a minute. Let's talk about you. So in this last year, you have been named the State FFA Outstanding Agriculture Teacher of the Year.
Yes.
So that's very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How is that selection made? Do you apply for this?
It is an application process, which, you know, before we even say anything else about me, I don't do anything that I do for credit. It makes me very uncomfortable, to be honest. But I was encouraged by some of our state staff to apply. I've been teaching for 19 years total, and they just kept on my case about applying. And I was like, fine, I will apply. And it was more or less I'm going to do this just so they will leave me alone with no expectation of it going any further than that. And so the application process asks you, like, you know, what is your philosophy of education? And it doesn't just cover your current year of teaching, it covers your whole career. And so I had to go back to my 13 years in a different school system and kind of incorporate things from that as well. And of course, we included the commercial and things like that too. So, but it takes a team. You know, I may have gotten that award, but it takes a team of people and a team of good administrators to back you to make it capable of doing those things.
Absolutely.
So we're very blessed.
Now, in addition to that, after being named the State Teacher of the Year, you had another surprise.
Yes.
Talk about being named the U.S. Region 6 Agriculture Teacher of the Year.
Shock. Very shocked, very surprised. I was sitting at my desk grading some papers one afternoon, and our state FFA executive director called me, and he's like, congratulations. And I said, what have I done? and he says, you haven't seen the email? And I said, well, no, I just sat down. And he says, well, open up your email right now. And I looked, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, how did nobody else apply? Like, this is insane. And so there are 6 regions in the United States, and so they choose, once that state person is chosen, the state forwards those applications on to the National Association of Agriculture Educators, and from that point they will choose a national winner. So it really, it's not just FFA. It encompasses FFA, but it also encompasses the actual education portion, agriculture education. So it's now I get to go to Phoenix, Arizona in a few weeks at the end of November, and we'll see what happens there. I'm told there's a short interview process potentially there to go for that. So we'll see what happens.
Well,
we'll see what happens. I'm just honored, really, and very humbled to be chosen for such, because that was never a goal of mine.
So does the award come with, other than traveling, does it come with any additional responsibilities?
Not really, not really. I've always, in all of my years of teaching, you know, in Virginia, we have a shortage of ag educators. And so we have a lot of folks coming in new that are career switchers, and we have a lot of folks coming in that are taking jobs teaching horticulture and may not know how to operate everything in the greenhouse. So I've always kind of served as a mentor to a lot of our agriculture educators in the state. So with that comes a continuation of that, but I really don't see anything really changing or being added to the plate.
Well, that's great. So one more thing before I let you go. I was here this weekend and noticed the FFA Fall Festival. Looked like a pretty exciting event. Tell me more about it.
Yes, we started probably, well, I guess my first year here, so now I guess this was the 7th. My first year here, we started having what we called a showcase. And it was a collaborative activity between all 4 FFA chapters in the county. And we started out having it at CCHS because, of course, they had the bigger shops and a little bit more facility at the time. And so we started showcasing what our students do. And, you know, we had good attendance for a couple of years, and then as with other things, you know, things just kind of drop off. And so we decided to kind of rebrand and remarket that, and we pushed it a little later into October so that we could call it a fall festival, because we noticed that here in Culpeper, if you say fall festival, they come. It's just that simple. And so we've partnered with some different companies in the area, and they would give us free pumpkins that we could use to give out to the students. And so the goal is to let our students showcase what they know and what they're capable of doing, while also educating and recruiting young kids from our county. And so we had stations where they were showing them how to weld, but they used graham crackers and icing. We had stations about dog behavior, edible soil profiles, so they got gummy worms and pudding and cookies and all the good stuff while also learning about agriculture. They got plants to take home that they potted, and just a wide variety of different activities. We had the mobile dairy classroom here doing milking demonstrations, and so that was a hit. And you know, it's just a fun activity where the kids can come out and actually learn a little bit about agriculture. Our students get to show off agriculture and their knowledge, and it's just a win-win. And it's still a collaborative activity between the 4 chapters, so that makes it nice too. We have just decided, well, the past 2 years we've had it here at Eastern View, and I think because of visibility and with our Parks and Rec being close by and sports activities and other things going on, we get a good attendance here just because of that. So I think we've pretty much decided to have it at Eastern View from here on out, while it still be collaborative.
Great. Well, it looked like a big crowd.
It was very busy and very steady all day. We were very pleased.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, that's great. So you have a very busy chapter of FFA, a lot going on in your classroom. What are some things that you have coming up, things to look forward to?
Well, one of the really cool things, and if you haven't been able to tell, while I teach small animal care, horticulture has my heart. Horticulture is my passion, and that greenhouse. Absolutely love and enjoy our greenhouse. So one of the big things that our classes are working on right now as far as horticulture is concerned, we are raising 400 poinsettias in our greenhouse right now. And so to watch those students take the pride that they take in that has really been amazing. And every single day they want to go to the greenhouse, every single day. And I'm like, okay guys, we have to do some other things too, but they really have taken pride in that crop. And to be honest, it's the healthiest crop we've raised. They look really good. And so once I get back from Phoenix, we will be wrapping and putting bows on poinsettias and getting those out to all of our people that order from schools and the public.
So what's going to be my next question, are those going to be available for purchase?
Yes, they will be. They will be. And we'll have a Google form order form coming out pretty soon.
So if any of our watchers would like some poinsettias, they could come to the Eastern View website?
Yes, and we'll have it on the website. We'll have it through our social media pages with Facebook and Instagram as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us
course.
today. There's so many amazing things that that you're doing here at Eastern View, and I'm excited to see what's next for you and for your students at Eastern View.
It's a fun time, a very fun time. We are very blessed with very good kids.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Accent on Education today and hearing about the great things happening at Eastern View High School. Students and teachers in Culpeper County are busy doing great things, and I look forward to seeing you next time and sharing more about what's going on the next episode of Accent on Education.